Hello everyone, and welcome to the second installment of the Athens Fellowship 2009 video blog. I'm Joseph Skarzensky, reporting from Washington, D.C. This morning, Athens Fellows started their last day in Washington very early. We began this morning by meeting the chairman of the Southeast Europe Project, John C. at the Woodrow Wilson Center. Following our visit to the Woodrow Wilson Center, we were up for a full day at the Capitol building. Throughout the day, we met a variety of Congress members. We began our visit at the Capitol by meeting Mr. Tom Manatos, the special assistant to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. After our visit to the Speaker of the House office, we visited a variety of Congress members' offices, the first of which was the office of Dina Titus. We also met Representatives John Sarbanes, Gus Bilirakis, Zach Space, and Senator Olympia Snowe. Our meeting with the Southeast Europe Project Chairman, John C. focused heavily on U.S. relations with Greece and Greece's actions to promote its interests within the United States. Mr. C. explained heavily the importance of lobbying within Washington, D.C., and some of the weaknesses Greece has in promoting its interests within the country and American government.
You don't have to have problems only to lobby in Washington. It's like Coca-Cola. They don't sell $1 billion or $50 billion worth of soda by sitting back and saying, well, people remember our market and our brand from 10 years ago. You're constantly advertising, constantly marketing, constantly promoting. And in Washington, D.C., I can tell you, this is the single most competitive policy environment on the planet.
The Greeks were asking where were the Greek Americans, and kind of how it's not really our responsibility, but what would you say that the Greek Americans' responsibility would be?
I think that's for each individual to decide. I can't tell anybody what to do with his or her time. There are people who have decided that they don't want to be involved in a lot of these issues because they think that the politics, the internal domestic politics in Greece are so corrosive, they don't want to be affiliated with any of this. Most Greek Americans, by the way, at least my experience, following these issues in one capacity or another for about 24 years now, most Greek Americans do not vote for political candidates based on where they stand on these issues. That's a canard. Most Greek Americans vote like most Americans. If they're Democrats, they vote for the Democratic candidate. Usually, if they're Republicans, they vote for the Republican candidate. They will still communicate with individual lawmakers, irrespective of party status. But when it comes time to voting and to donating, they donate to their own. I mean, most Greek Americans have certain political philosophies and they adhere to those.
The first person we spoke to at the Capitol building was Mr. Tom Manatos, the special assistant to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Mr. Manatos took us to the balcony of the Speaker and gave us a brief history of his involvement in politics. He explained to us how he went from an internship to becoming more and more involved with public service. He also gave brief time for question and answers with students.
I would always save a little bit of work to the end, and everyone would always say, "You're the hardest working intern we've ever had." It was just that stupid little trick I was doing, and it enabled me to get the job I had and then advance in my office to stay with her for 7 years. I think a lot of what the Greek culture has, and it teaches us to be hard workers and to work as
for the ACES bill and the renewable energy standards specifically. When at all our conference meetings with the staff, the 12% just seems like it probably won't make any difference to what it is right now. What is Speaker Pelosi's position as far as changing it, making it higher, changing other provisions of efficiency?
She had said over and over and over again, I traveled with her for the last 2.5 years all across the country. She said 20 by 2020, and that's what she wanted. That was a goal. I think that through the process with the Senate, after we pass our bill today and see what the Senate comes back with, and things can be changed in conference. Just to make sure everyone understands the process. House passes a bill, Senate passes a bill. Representatives from each body get together, hash out the differences, produce one product, and then it goes back to each house to be voted on the final time before it goes to the president. So that there's a lot of progress that can be made. The Senate is a tougher environment to, no pun intended, environment to get that through, but I think the President and Speaker still have a lot of time to make it better.
After our visit to the office of Speaker Nancy Pelosi, we met U.S. Representative Dina Titus. Congresswoman Titus focused heavily on her transition from being a political science professor to being an actual participant in politics as a member of Congress.
An observer and a critic. Now I don't have that luxury. It's my own neck on the line, so somebody else is criticizing me. So I don't know. I'm real proud to be in Congress at such a historic time. I'm working very hard, and the challenges are very great, but I have optimism. Personal optimism. I think the country is optimistic about some of the changes and the new direction that we're going. I know in Greece, when I was talking to a number, I met with the Prime Minister, met with the Foreign Minister. There's a feeling there too that the new administration.
We also met U.S. Representative Gus Bilirakis. Congressman Bilirakis gave our group some very insightful and inspiring words as being leaders of the next generation.
Like the Greeks, the Turkish lobby is very strong, as you know, but we can overcome that if we have more. There has to be more of us there to get the message across, and also we need to tell them, emphasize how important these issues are to us, particularly the patriarchy.
Following lunch, we met U.S. Senator Olympia Snowe. We had this distinct pleasure of meeting Senator Snowe in the Senate reception room, a place reserved only for those accompanied by U.S. senators. We then went to the office of U.S. Representative Zach Space. There we met both Congressman Space and Congressman John Sarbanes. Congressman Space focused on some of the difficulties he faced running in his campaign as a Democratic candidate in a Republican-dominated district. He also discussed some of the issues he faced since becoming a member of Congress, such as the new
improving how we deliver and consume both energy and healthcare will go a long way in improving our economy. Yeah. Perhaps not in the immediate term, but over the next 10 to 20 years. And I think it's really important that we look at these issues from a big picture, a very broad perspective. I wish John were here because
Congressman Sarbanes informed us all what it's like to be a Greek-American politician. He discussed some of the significance of his Hellenic roots and how they have affected his experiences at Congress. He also discussed some of the successes of Greek Americans and how they have affected the United States.
In terms of the Greek American community. And I think what's exciting is that he and I and Gus Bilirakis and others are really trying to think out of the box about what it means to be connected to the Greek community, and how do we frame the traditional set of issues that were important to us, while also articulating a vision for what new relationships can exist between Greece and the United States, and the role for Cyprus to play and for Greece. And so we're constantly sort of bouncing those ideas off of each other. Take your Hellenic heritage and background and put that to good use for the larger community. And I think that as a community, we've been very successful individually in terms of personal advancement. We've taken our education and that emphasis on certain core principles that we're very proud of, family and community, and we've used that with tremendous results to advance ourselves individually. And so there are many examples in all walks of life of people in our community who've succeeded at the highest level.
That concludes tonight's report on the Athens Fellowship program from Washington, D.C. The past 2 days have been a wonderful time to spend in the Capitol, especially since tomorrow might be a landmark event if the House of Representatives passes the new energy bill. Tomorrow morning, our group leaves for Athens, Greece, and arrives on Saturday morning. We hope to spend the day enjoying the city and meeting new government officials starting Monday morning. Thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in for the next episode of the Athens Fellowship video log.